Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between DeMuslim and Lucifron here on Steps of War. And first thing I wanted to note is we have Muslim spawning as the purple Terran player over here at the 2 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have Lucifron spawning as the yellow Terran on the bottom left hand side of Steps of War. I've made some changes to my my replay timer blocker. You'll see DeMuslim as the purple Terran and Lucifron as the yellow Terran as well. Some people who are watching me or watching my shoutcast were asking me, if it doesn't add any function, I want you to get rid of it. Well, that's the reason why it's there. It tells you who's purple and who's yellow, so you don't have to figure it out during a mirror match or any other battle. I don't know how I'm going to do it for 2v2 matchups yet, but anyways, that should be fairly interesting. Lucifron and DeMuslim, both of them going for a 10 racks, so that SCV getting a little bit delayed, but both players going for a 10 racks, more of a rush harassment. And now Lucifron getting a supply depot over here, DeMuslim doing the same exact thing as well. So both players going for a 10 racks, followed by a quick 10 supply, and then building the SCV shortly after. So this would well classify as a 10 racks build, 10 supply depot, and then probably followed up with a command center, or sorry, not a command center, a refinery in just a little bit. Both players most likely will produce 2 Marines. The Marines, just because the 2 Marines are fairly strong counter towards Reapers, especially on a Terran versus Terran matchup. You really need those 2 Marines early on to take on that early Reaper. After that, you can buy a little bit of time by putting down that tech lab, and then trying to grab a single, Marauder. That Marauder will be able to take down that Reaper fairly easily with that 1 armor and 10 damage. And comes Lucifron with this SCV. SCV, however, may get taken down, already down to 15 hit points. And now second Marine quickly coming out. Down goes that SCV. So SCV now down, but I believe he was able to do a quick spot on that. No, he was not able to spot that the refinery was just being placed down, so knows that he does not have to worry about any Reapers for a little bit of time. At least both players are now getting supply depot, so this is pretty much an exact mirror build in terms of gameplay here on Steps of War. Both players getting that second refinery. If looking at the income, both players fairly even on income as well. Army-wise, however, we now have 3 Marines for DeMuslim against the 3 Marines of Lucifron. Lucifron's Marines will be stronger though, as they're sitting on that high ground, and those Marines, if they try to push up there, will be in a lot of trouble. So yeah, there's a single Marine on that high ground, and DeMuslim just decides not to try to push. Another Marine also coming in. So now getting those Marines and finally getting a reactor. So going for a reactor and now a factory. So DeMuslim may be trying to go for Hellions and then using those Hellions to push down on these Marines. Those Marines now grouped together. Both sides sitting on the same amount of harvesters pretty much. 16 versus 17. 5 Marines versus 4 Marines as well. And now those Marines now grouping out together, going to go ahead and move on out. Factory nearly completed, the reactor nearly completed as well. And we have a tech lab being put down by Lucifron, so Lucifron may do a little bit of a tech lab switch. No, now producing Marauders. Marines now heading all the way back home, as we now have a bunker being put down by DeMuslim. So DeMuslim getting a bunker on this front door in order to push back any sort of attack. That bunker will give an additional range to those Marines, so giving those Marines a range of 6, enabling them to shoot pretty far. 4 Marines anyways. Now we have an armory being put down by Lucifron. So Lucifron hiding this armory over there, 60 or about 40 units of time left in order to finish that build. And now a Marauder sitting on this. Marauder and Marines trying to group up, both players just trying to figure out what exactly their strategies are going to be. DeMuslim now has a starport. That starport going to grab that reactor. So interestingly enough, it may be mass Vikings or medevacs. Not 100% sure what exactly he's trying to go for at this stage. Also getting some siege tank and siege tech. DeMuslim really branching out all of a sudden with that starport, with the reactor, with the siege tank and a siege tech. So he doesn't seem that focused, and perhaps he's trying to change up his strategy consistently. We now have a single Hellion trying to perhaps push up on that front door, and Marauder's able to get a couple hit off, but the amount of damage dealt to those Marines, 3 of those Marines taking a fair 14 damage just off of that 1 Hellion blast, and now that Hellion running all the way home. Finally, we have now a Viking being produced. So DeMuslim producing a Viking in order to push back a siege tank, second siege tank being pushed out. So we may have siege tanks and Vikings, a very classic Terran versus Terran unit combination. However, there's going to be Thors joining in on this battle. Vikings have a range of 9. Someone wanted me to confirm it. Yeah, the Vikings have a range of 9, do not have a range of 10 like I had thought earlier. Thor's nearing completion up to 55 units of time. When I say units of time, it is the Lucifron picking up that Thor with that medevac, and now gonna go ahead and move on out. Medevac with that Thor moving very quickly. SCV is also coming out in order to repair the medevac and most likely that Thor. So Lucifron with a very heavy rush. However, DeMuslim has a single Viking and 2 siege tanks. Will he be able to shoot down that Thor? If he's able to shoot down that Thor, that is going to be a very, very hard hit. Siege tanks, now units trying to do a little bit of a push. Thor now going to try to drop, now going into that ground mode, and in comes that Thor. That Thor able to start shooting down those siege tanks very easily. That single Thor, however, getting picked back up. Vikings chasing down that medevac, and that medevac is taken down. Army of Lucifron sitting at 300, so the Muslim going for the classic siege tank, and Vikings able to destroy the main army. Now back over here, Lucifron only has a single medevac and 2 marauders trying to fight back this whole entire army, and Lucifron quickly calls GG. Stay tuned for game 2 in, I believe, what is a best of 5 series between Lucifron and DeMuslim.